So I got a little bit of interest from Dylan saying that you wanted to talk about Gotham Knights. For those of us that are, or those of you that are out there watching, we're going to be switching to kind of more game stuff for the last part of the podcast here. And the first one is Gotham Knights. So we had, the Arkham series, Batman Arkham series that was wildly successful for multiple iterations. And now Gotham Knights comes out, which is kind of like a spiritual successor. They said that it's not in the same Arkham or Gotham Knights or Arkham world or whatever, but it's
Mhm.
hard to not compare the two. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
we need to just kind of like talk about it. What did we think happened? I'll let Dylan kind of get a start here. What were your thoughts? Why do you think that it wasn't successful?
Well, so number one, I didn't play the game yet because I've been very busy with my studies. But however, the reason why that I took interest in this specifically is because other than people know me for
What are the
being a
Avengers
huge
doing there?
yeah. As people know, I'm a huge superhero nerd, and I love both DC and Marvel. And as of late, I've got into the Arkham series because I've heard a lot about them, but I never actually got to play them because I didn't have the consoles yet that will have that. Because at the time these came out, I had probably like my PlayStation 2 still, and I had a Wii still. So, and neither of those consoles would have had the Arkham series games yet. But however, I played. They recently did a remaster of Arkham Asylum, the first one, and Arkham City, the second one. I played both of those. I had a blast with them. The mechanics were amazing. The graphics were cool. The voice acting was great. It stuck to the source material. There was cool Easter eggs within the DC universe, like for instance, Doctor Hugo Strange in the finale um of Arkham City, he was talking about Protocol 10, which basic Protocol 10 was to kill all prisoners, basically. How to get rid of crime? Just kill them. Kill all the
Right.
prisoners. That's how. So yeah, that's basically what he was doing. And he said that by my Protocol 10 is shown to be effective and it'll be spread out beyond Gotham. And he said Metropolis. I'm like, oh, Metropolis. I don't think Superman's gonna like that, but you're welcome to try there, buddy. But anyways, so I guess the point where I'm trying to get at is the Arkham series was fantastic. It was very fantastic. I've still yet to play Arkham Origins, but I heard Arkham Origins is probably like the go out of all four of them because I think it's supposed to be like deeper. It goes like actually deeper into like the whole the whole the whole series, I guess. And not to mention, it had Deathstroke as I think one of the main baddies, and Deathstroke is like a really cool villain that belongs in the Gotham family, if you will.
All right.
So with that said, and then the finale was Arkham Knight, where basically the Batman was supposed to have quote unquote died in that um, he died in that game particularly, but actually it was in Gotham Knights where he supposedly died.
Right.
So that's the whole lore behind Gotham Knights. Batwoman, Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood, Damian Wayne version of Robin, and Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, are supposed to be the Gotham Knights. They're all supposed to be teaming up together to protect Gotham from the criminals and all of them. So I was like, wow, that game looks pretty cool. And I've been to GameStop a couple times. I saw some previews of it before release, and I thought, wow, that looks pretty fucking cool. I mean, hey, and that's cool too. It gives the other Batman heroes some spotlight too. Because again, I know Gotham and Batman. That's the two are always associated together. But however, there was other heroes that were under Batman's wing, and they have protected Gotham too. So they thought, well, yeah, we are making this game, and yes, it's not going to be directly correlated with the Arkham series, but hey, let's give the little guys a chance, eh?
Right.
Well, here's what happened. They're saying that what people are thinking the reason why this game flopped was simply because of the drop in the graphics quality, and also they said that the gameplay mechanics, such as like the combat mechanics compared to the Arkham games, it just looked like they just passed the buck on that. And I've seen some gameplay of it, and I feel like people were maybe nitpicking at that. In my opinion, I'm not saying that they're wrong, particularly because I don't think the combat engine looks as good as the Arkham series games. But however, people got to realize that this is not Batman they're playing as. They're playing as more inexperienced heroes that are not Bruce Wayne.
I
Yeah.
think
That's
some
what
is
makes yeah, I mean
so,
that's what makes Batman so interesting as a hero in general. He's so good at what he does. It makes him look like he's superhuman, but really he's just a human that just is excellent at martial arts because he's mastered every freaking single one out there.
something I
So,
saw that I think kind of attributes to that is um, a lot of the mechanics in this game do definitely look like they were just kind of lazily done and they
mhm.
didn't go through and actually flesh them out. So one example being, so like in the Arkham games, when you go through and you summon the Batmobile, you can literally hear it roaring through the city and like driving up to you and like you get in it and you can drive it and fucking blow right through cars and stuff like that. In this game, if you go through and you summon the motorcycles, like vehicles, it just appears like it goes
Right.
through and just kind of phases into existence. And then just even the mechanics of driving the motorcycles is not like well done. So you go through and you run into a car, you immediately stop. Like you don't, it doesn't ramp over cars or nothing. It doesn't like, it's just the actual the gameplay itself. I think people are fine with the story. Like that was what
Mhm.
attracted me personally to the story. It was okay, cool. We get to see more of these other characters, and I think it's even supposed to have a little bit of a multiplayer component to it too.
Right.
But like, I mean, did you just see that on the screen where like the motorcycle comes in and it's just like it just
Yeah.
phases in, and it's
This
not.
this is one of the videos I watched, and they were literally just talking about
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking about. They didn't. So, from what I gathered, I watched a few reviews of it. Essentially, it's like Shalupi Stack is saying, not as much care was put into it, and it seems like there are quite a few features like the combat that was essentially kind of like a almost like a copy paste. And I mean, by all means, it's done the same way that you would expect it to be in an Arkham game. But the problem is like just because you have a combat system that's functional doesn't mean that you just use that as like your golden parachute there. And pretty much everybody is saying that they 90% of the game is combat. Like there's really not a whole lot of puzzle solving. There's also kind of the hints of the possibility that they were just using, they had this, they think, planned as a live service game, but then kind of maybe went back on that last second. And I know that there was a delay in the release of the game that
There was.
that could maybe lend some credence to that. Of course, the actual studio themselves aren't going to do that. They're not going to admit to that probably, but essentially there's this live service component that if the quality was that and it was a live service game, that's understandable. But for it to be a standalone game with some co-op in it, I think a lot of people were disappointed at the quality of the graphics, the quality of like some of these other niceties. The combat is okay at best. It's been something that's been replicated numerous times over the years. It's not something new like in the Arkham series. So it's just kind of a same old, kind of what Far Cry has done to that series. They did the same thing to the, Gotham Knights, and, in the same respect for the Arkham series, which they've multiple times, once again, they have said this is a completely separate game, completely separate universe, but I'm sorry. You can't just say that and it be
that's
true.
just an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that and it be true. It's the same company. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, WB Games Montreal is the one who developed it. So yeah, that is a pretty weak excuse.
I don't know
but
why people are saying the graphics aren't that good. I think the graphics look
Um,
fine, but
it's because I mean, like I said, I think they were nitpicking at that a little bit, in my opinion, because they did a side by side comparison with Gotham Knights, the way that the water looks in Gotham versus Arkham Knight, the way the water looked, and the water looked more It looked more fluid. It looked more
Looked more
very well.
watery.
Yeah, it's like I said. Like I said, I think it was a nitpick, but that was one of their arguments. Like, see, look at the water is basically what they're saying, because in Arkham Knight, the water looked more realistic. It looked more fluid, and it looked, like water in real life. As to the ones in Gotham Knight, it looked more. It just looked a little bit more animated and a little too much CGI there than there was actual realism behind the animations behind the waves of the water. Again, that's just one. There's more obvious. There's more to that too, but that's just my defense in saying that's why they're nitpicking with the graphics thing. And what many people don't keep forgetting is that graphics don't make the game good. It's the gameplay itself and the idea behind the game. Because if
Right.
that was the case, then vast majority like games of like Minecraft or the Go of RPG games, Chrono Trigger, they would have failed immediately because their graphics are not that great, especially Chrono Trigger. They're all sprites. A lot of things are like probably 16-bit or at best, perhaps, and that's about it. But what makes Chrono Trigger so awesome is the story, the customization of the characters' names, as well as the cool, like you don't see what the armor or the weapon looks like for the most part, but it's just the names leave it to your imagination. You just kind of think, like, one of them is called my favorite armor in Chrono Trigger is called the Nova armor, and it just makes me think Nova armor. Wow, that thing sounds fucking cool. I have no idea what it looks like, but it sounds fucking cool. So it just leaves it to the imagination to imagine it what this Nova armor is. That's my point. And plus the bosses are cool, and not to mention the designs were created from Akira Toriyama, who was the artist of Dragon Ball Z and Doctor Slump, and he's iconic for Dragon Ball, of course. That's what made Chrono Trigger such a successful game, and it's such like one of the most legendary games that Square Enix has ever created. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the graphics I don't think are that bad. Could they be worse? Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, they could. And could they be better? Why the hell not? There's a lot of things that could be better in any game. But however, I just don't think that Gotham Knights should be getting shit on so much simply for the fact that because like what Schloob and Jason was saying, that they tried to say, oh well, it's supposed to be from a separate universe than the Arkham series, but however, we were trying to do more this than that. That is a stupid excuse. That is a pretty that it sounds like a cop out. It really does. But I just found it very interesting overall that this game was very highly anticipated, and the trailers looked great. I thought the game was going to be pretty good. I didn't think it was going to be, as good as the Arkham series, obviously, because like I said, the Arkham series is just amazing overall because it's got good voice acting. It's got all the iconic and even the lesser iconic Batman villains like Victor Zsasz, the Cold Call Killer. He was in Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, and he's just a crazy psycho murderer is all he is. He doesn't have any powers. He's just a crazy psycho killer. That's all he is. He got mentioned in that, and hell, he even made it a brief appearance in Injustice 2. So, I guess my conclusion with this is that I just don't think that I think Gotham Knights might have been held a little too high of standards simply for the fact that it was made by the same company, which is WB Games Montreal. And I just feel like that maybe Gotham Knights should not be shit on as much as it should be. But I mean, could it have been better? Yeah, definitely. Because I could agree that the combat system in the game looked like it was just kind of thrown out there and just be like, okay, feel like it. It's Batman. They don't give a
Right.
shit.
For sure. So I think that it's just because they kind of made it very live service and it kind of did a live service feel. And I was also, I remember that the talents and, just different talent trees and stuff like that, and like the way they did the armor was just not particularly, I guess, notable or fun. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't play the game. I did do some research into it to see what people were saying as to why they didn't like it, though. But
To me, it seems like it's going to be a game that it'll probably improve over time. They'll patch it later on, and
right.
Well, I can only hope.